Let's call the regularly scheduled meeting for Tuesday, October 21st to order. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Crosby?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore?
Yes, ma'am. Next, we have the invocation with Mr. Ashley Stuckey with the County Collaborative Services and the Pledge of Allegiance by John Deegans with our Veteran Services. If you would, please stand and join.
Please join me in prayer. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this great day here in Bay County. I ask for your wisdom, your hand upon the commissioners as they talk about and deliberate the business for the citizens and visitors here of Bay County. We thank you for this great place, and it's all in Christ's name we pray. Amen.
Next, we have approval of the agenda. Any additions or deletions?
Nothing from staff, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chairman, my mea culpa on number 19, which is the high impact period regulations. I failed to include the sheriff in the loop on the final group of changes and to make sure that he was available for today to present this item. He indicated that Major Baldwin is available and he's prepared to move forward. I've also gotten some requests from commissioners about doing one-on-ones to get more. So I'm prepared to move forward, but I'm also happy to delay this to give everybody more time to look at it.
All right. Well, what's the pleasure of the board then with that if somebody's asked for a one-on-one, an ability to dig into this more?
I just want to say that I've spoken with Sheriff Ford a couple of times, and he was good with this. I also got a text from him, said he was good with it, and that Baldwin would be here to answer any questions. The only thing that I see about continuing this or pushing this off to an additional meeting is this ordinance, and we've had it for a while, so I wish we, if we had questions about it, maybe had gotten them to Brian before now, but some of this is going to cause additional expense for the condominiums and folks that are going to have to follow some of the rules in here. I'm not saying I agree with everything in this or that this is the win-all, but it is going to be expensive, some of the things in here. People need to plan right now. Budgets for all the condominiums are going in now, and if they don't add these additional security measures and certain things that they're going to have to adhere to, then it may be too late and they'll have to do a budget amendment right after they do their budget. It's just the timing, I think. And if we need to go over all of it or part of it, I think Brian is certainly well versed in what we've written here, and maybe he could answer anyone's questions. And then at that point, if we just choose to push it to another meeting, then maybe it'll give us the chance to go ahead and just hear what he has to say about it. And if we all agree, it's time to vote on it now, we could. And if not, we could push it to another meeting. But just to pull it off the agenda is, I think, a little detrimental to the people that are going to have to start preparing to follow all of these rules. And so I'd suggest that we at least hear it out. But that's just my suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree with that. We can wait at that time.
Okay. I also spoke with Sheriff Ford yesterday, and he said he had the utmost confidence in Major Baldwin be able to handle all this and everything that was there and is good with it. Doesn't feel that he has to be here. So I'd say, well, let's go ahead and hear it, and then based on what that hearing is and where it is, if we need to continue it to the next meeting, then we'll do that. Or if we can make a vote, let's go ahead and make the vote. All right, with that, any other items? Bob? All right, well, with that, can I get approval of the agenda?
Approval.
Second.
All right, if you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next, we have presentation, 25-year service award, Mr. Todd Valdez with Road and Bridges, presented by Commissioner Peace.
All right, come on down.
Just where you want to be, center stage, huh?
Todd started working with Bay County Roads and Bridges Division on September the 12th in 2000. As a maintenance worker, due to his skills and strong work ethic, Todd was promoted through various positions and currently serves as a construction foreman in this role. He is responsible for overseeing the construction crew and operations, with a primary emphasis on maintaining a safe work environment. He is also an excellent mentor to new employees and earns the respect of his colleagues. Over the past 25 years, Todd has proven to be a valuable asset to Road and Bridges Division. We appreciate his dedication and commitment to serving the citizens of Bay County. Todd, I want you to know that that is the exact same place that I started as a maintenance worker, sweeping floors on a construction site in Raleigh, North Carolina while I was going to school. And you have certainly done everything you need to do in Roads and Bridges to make us all proud of you, and we appreciate the extreme hard work you've done. Thank you so much.
Thank you all.
Commissioner Peace. All right, next we have a presentation about Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare presentation by Mr. Andrew Starr with Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Mr. Starr?
Good morning, everybody.
Morning.
This is the part where the presentation comes on. We're going with the dramatic effect here. There we go. All right. Thank you to your team. They've done a great job. So good morning. I'm Andrew Starr. I'm the president of the Western Market for Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. I wanted to provide an update to all of you on where we're at with our healthcare campus. I've met with many of you prior to this, and I've made a promise to come back to this group with updates. So that is really the essence of today, and I think you'll be very pleased with the progress that we've made. As everyone's aware of where our new campus is located, it's located on the corner of 79 and Griffiths Parkway, so that's a mile off of Back Beach Road. The impetus for this campus is really critical for Bay County when you think about the distance between existing facilities in Bay and really the Panhandle. There is a significant amount of distance where we're building and where your incumbent facilities are. The western part of Bay County, there's a real cavity for healthcare out there, and this campus will serve as that new destination for many of the citizens there and the surrounding areas. Our campus is, as you can tell, this is what we affectionately like to call Phase 1. We planned a medical office building and a hospital. The medical office building is 80,000 square feet. Our hospital, which will be parallel with Griffiths Parkway, is on the right side of the diagram, and I'll be happy to show you some images of where we've been and where we're going. This is the long-term vision for the medical campus. Again, 87 acres of campus, about 2/3 of it is workable. Phase 1 was, again, that MOB that's on the northern part of the screen and the hospital. We're really preparing the campus for what could be a 600-bed facility and also room for 3 other medical office buildings. And why is that important? With the amount of growth that's happening here in Bay County, Walton County and surrounding areas, and the need for healthcare and the growth in population, this is not an unrealistic goal when we look at the next 10 to 15 years. Really valuable point I want to make to everybody. When we started this process well over 4.5 years ago, we initially planned for a 100-bed facility, which really 30 beds live on day one. We immediately got recent data on that, ran another study, and we figured out we need a much bigger facility, a facility that would have as many as 80 beds live on day one and a 180-bed shell. And that's just based on the amount of growth that's happening in this area that all of you are fully aware of. This is an image of what the hospital will look like. It will be called FSU Health. It will not be called Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. As you're aware, we have a wonderful partnership with Florida State University, particularly the School of Medicine. We're excited that this is going to be a major teaching destination and research destination for them, along with a new hospital to meet the needs of this county and surrounding. This is the future vision. If I don't show this, our architects get very offended. But like, this is the future vision of the campus. As you can tell, one of the things that I take very seriously as the executive for the campus is wayfinding. When people need to come to a healthcare campus, it's not because they have nothing else better to do. They're usually coming as a patient in distress, or their loved ones or family friends that are coming to the campus also in distress. We're adamant about this campus being easy to access, wayfinding being a key part of how we design it, and also adding more of a park theme to it in the context that this needs to be an area of peace and relaxation, less of like urban campuses where you have department on department on department on department next to what would be a parking garage, which is garage, 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 garage. So we're going with a different type of setup here. We started the first process with the build of the medical office building. We broke ground in that in January of 23. That got finished in July of 2024. I tell everybody, because some people said, well, where is it? Well, it's 1002 North Arnold, but what I also tell everybody is we're the biggest building off the beach. On the right side, you'll see a picture of that. Our CFO took that, and as you can tell, we legitimately are the biggest building off the beach, 68 feet high. And that actually will be the smallest building on our campus. This is our land. This is for our hospital. This is really our overall project plan. We are knee deep in that. We have been heavily involved with a lot of work between leveling the land, just bringing in enough dirt, almost to the point of just getting it about 7 feet higher than it needed to be. A wealth of infrastructure has been put in, not just for the immediate needs of phase one, but really for the long-term part of this project. The project has gone extremely smoothly. I have to give credit to our GCs, our PMO, our architects, and many others that have been involved. This has been a very well-run project, and things are moving along at a pretty aggressive clip to the point that we should be operational no earlier than the end of 27. So things are moving along. I'm a big believer you are what your record says you are. I told you all that we'd be moving quickly. This is our hospital site. As you can tell, we broke ground on the hospital site in November of 2024. In less than a year, you can see where we're at in what is now October 2025. We have completely leveled the land, risen the land, put up tilt wall construction. We're actually working on the second and third floor infrastructures as we speak. So things are moving along at a very brisk pace in less than a year. Recent accomplishments that we've had, we've obviously cleared some key permits with the City of Panama City Beach. We put in a new vascular clinic, which is an additional part of the portfolio of offerings we have in our medical office building. Our second part of our tilt panel has been erected, completed necessary work with ACA, and moving forward with some additional CD pricing. So things have been moving along again at a pretty aggressive clip. When we look ahead to the next 60 to 90 days, we have additional clinics that'll be opening. Emerald Coast OBGYN will be opening up their expansion clinic in the next few weeks. As we speak, Tallahassee Orthopedic Clinic and dermatology specialists are working on their clinics, and their openings will be in the early part of calendar year 2026. We've been very successful with our primary care practice. We've actually added 2 new physicians. We'll be adding an additional physician this spring. That's based on our growth and our commitment to having real-time access to you, our consumers, and working on some expansion opportunities for our pulmonary practice and some other practices which are not only growing at a rapid pace, but almost to the point of growing outside of their own physical space, which is a good problem to have. All right. This is the part where I improvise. All right. Why not? We'll go with it. Okay. Well, just in the interest of time, I don't want to hold everybody up. Let me tell you where we're at and what our plans are and the type of growth that we've had. I will share with you that our clinics have grown. In the last year, our primary care clinic has grown, even losing some days due to weather and some other things. Our primary care clinic has grown by almost 20%, and I said we've added 2 new physicians. Our cardiology and pulmonology clinics have grown by almost 500%, including our urgent care at 500%. We still have real-time access for our patients, but I will share with you we have made a significant effort at recruiting additional new physicians to the area. And the key thing there is additional net new to the area. Not robbing Peter to pay Paul, not taking from one organization and bringing into the other. This is new net positions that we're bringing to you, our consumers, so that you and your loved ones and your family, friends, and the constituents here can get real-time access. When we look ahead to the next year, I will share with you our priorities remain the same. Maintaining our commitment to the construction schedule of the hospital, which continues to move along at a very aggressive clip. You will see a lot more activity on the site as we round out the 3rd, 4th, and 5th floors of that building. That hospital will be the tallest building off the beach at 93 feet, granted permission by the Panama City Beach Administration, which I greatly appreciate. We'll be adding more clinics to our primary medical office building, but one of the things I know that matters to you, and I remember our conversation, Commissioner Moore, is looking at opportunities away from our immediate campus. We are actually underway with that process when we think about the eastern end of Bay County and some other areas in the surrounding areas. We're, again, trying to keep consumers in their hometowns for that primary front-end care, and then coming to the campus as they need more advanced, higher acuity care. We expect our surgery center to be extremely busy this year as we've completed all the necessary hurdles there. So I expect as we get into December, that surgical center will be we'll be at least doing 3 figures worth of cases a month. So we continue to make significant advances to the campus, even prior to the actual hospital opening. As we continue to evolve, I'd love to come back to this commission, give you all a further update, maybe in 6 months to a year. I will tell you at that time, I expect, barring a real shock to the system, we'll continue to report out good news, growth, and expansion as we continue to remain committed to this community and continue to provide access to you all. I apologize for the issues there, but any questions?
Questions?
Just a comment. Just want to thank you for you and your team. We know an incredible investment that you're making in our community. Healthcare is vital to all of us, and we're just grateful that you guys chose to put the campus here, and go Knowles.
Well, I appreciate it, but we're humbled for the opportunity. We're excited about it, and I will share with you, as the executive, I take consumer ratings very seriously. We've already started that process. I will tell you, we use a company called Qualtrics, and I will tell you our clinics are beating benchmark by 10 to 30%, and that's not just Bay County, that's really nationally. So our clinics are reporting some of the highest scores in the country, and that's pretty great for a startup, but we're acutely aware we're as good as what we did yesterday, and the theme song on our campus is Get Off to a Good Start. So we need to keep doing that. We're committed to that, and just really appreciate the opportunity and support of all of you and the entire community, frankly. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next is public comment. It's any item on our agenda that's not part of the public hearing or anything. If you would, please, if you have anything to say, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning. My name is Jessica Graham. I'm the Executive Director of the St. Andrew and St. Joseph Bays Estuary Program. I just wanted to say a couple of words about agenda item number 12, I believe, which is the discussion regarding national designation. But I first wanted to express my sincerest and deepest appreciation for this board and your vision in creating the estuary program. It took a long time coming, but you put financial support behind this program. With the past 4 years, we have been able to secure an additional $8 million for our area to address some of those issues. One of the limitations and why we're interested in this national designation is that we are only able to do what a grant funds us to do, which is not always the highest priority to our local community. National designation, if supported by this board and actually secured in Congress, would give us a pipeline of funding to be able to do what you all and the local community find important, rather than what a grantor finds important. And so I just wanted to thank you for your leadership, your vision, and also your dedication to understanding what this designation can do, both pros and cons. We've had individual discussions and answered questions, and I really respect how much care and effort that you've put into understanding both sides of what this could mean. I just wanted to highlight a couple of things from those discussions. The national designation does not give us regulatory authority. It doesn't give additional regulatory authority to any existing regulation or regulatory agency. I wouldn't necessarily characterize it as a federalization, but rather it's a designation to show the importance of our area to the entire nation. And we already know this. The science already supports this. We have the most species of animals and plants in our estuary compared to any other in the nation. We just need the designation to show that we're important, and we deserve the funding to be able to do what we know is important. Again, thank you. Despite the outcome of your discussion today, I continue to look forward to working with you into the future. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, seeing none, go on to consent agenda. Mr. County Manager.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman and Commissioners, good morning. On your consent agenda today, under the Clerk of Courts, Item 1, Revenue and Expenditures, Clerk, Check Register, and FY25 Investment Report. Staff's recommendations, the Board acknowledge receipt of the reports. Under the Budget Office, Item 2, 2025 Fees and Fines Schedule Amendment. Staff's recommendations, the Board adopt a resolution to amend the FY25 Fees and Fines Schedule regarding utilities. Item 3, FY25 Budget Amendment. Staff's recommendations, the Board adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 24-25 budget. Item 4, FY26 Budget Amendment. Staff's recommendations, the Board adopt a resolution amending the fiscal year 25-26 budget. Under County Attorney, Item 5, Resolution supporting the Panama City Beach CARES Program. Staff's recommendations, the Board adopt the attached resolution supporting the Panama City Beach CARES Program. Item 6, Sale of surplus property on Highway 2297. Staff's recommendations, the Board approve the sale of a 75-acre surplus property located on Highway 2297 for $225,000 and authorize the chairman to execute all documents necessary or convenient to complete the transaction. Under the County Manager's Office, Item 7, Mexico Beach Community Development Council Board appointment. Staff's recommendations, the Board review the letter submitted from the Mexico Beach Community Development Council and approve the appointment as requested. Under Emergency Services, Item 8, Uniform Items Piggyback Agreement. Staff's recommendations, the Board authorize staff to piggyback on the City of Lakeland contract with Blue Line Innovations LLC and authorize the chairman to execute the contract and any required contract modifications as approved by the county attorney. Under the Purchasing Office, Item 9, 25-47, Professional Civil Engineering Services Contract. Staff's recommendations, the Board award and authorize the chairman to sign contracts with the qualified consultants for Contract 25-47, Professional Civil Engineering Services. Item 10, 25-50, Professional Utility Engineering Services Contract. Staff's recommendations, the Board award and authorize the chairman to sign the contracts with the qualified consultants for Contract 25-50, Professional Utility Engineering Services. Under the TDC, Item 11, TDC Public Safety Fund. Staff's recommendations, the Board authorize the reimbursement to the Bay County Sheriff's Office in the City of Panama City Beach through the disbursement of tourist development tax funds for the public safety expenditures presented relating to increased tourism on Panama City Beach. Mr. Chairman, that is your consent agenda this morning, and staff respectfully requests a motion for approval.
Get a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion in multiple seconds. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Crosby? Commissioner Radfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore?
Yes, ma'am. Now on to regular agenda, County Manager's Office, at number 12, discussion and designation of St. Andrew and St. Joseph's Bay Estuary Program for National Estuary Program Federalization.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman, thank you. Good morning. As you heard from the previous speaker under public comment, staff is looking for direction from the Board on your position regarding moving forward with establishing the St. Joe and St. Andrew Bay Estuary Program as a national estuary program. Congressman Dunn's office is currently working on some legislation. Time is of the essence with this. We need to provide him some feedback to include the appropriate language in subsequent bills that would, one, establish this as a national estuary, and then two, through an administrative process sometime in the future, free up the funds that were referenced earlier. So with that, staff is open for direction from the Board.
All right. What is the Board's pleasure?
Well, given that there's no additional regulation, it's only good things that we can do for our bed. I'm for it.
Okay.
Concern that I have is, we tell the federal government, we give them possession of our waters and we take their money. Are we upholding to what they tell us to do with our waters and our inlets? As far as, do we lose control of that? If we're taking money from the king, don't we obey to the king's rules? Isn't that kind of how that works? And that's a question I have. Yes, ma'am. I'd like some clarification on if we enter into an agreement and they come in and tell us we can't put a 25 horsepower engine in our bays, then that's kind of a concern that I have.
I understand. So that's not what the designation is for. So what we would be able to do is, our limitation is that we can use that money on projects that are aligned with our comprehensive conservation and management plan. So if someone wants to come in and say we can't have motors in our bay, It would have nothing to do with our designation. That would be something DEP or FWC or someone else says that we're gonna do, which they can do now if they wanted to. Luckily, that hasn't happened. But that's not we're really not giving them control over our bay. What we're doing is being able to have cooperative federalism, where they're putting their trust into our board to make the decisions that we know locally of what needs to happen.
I wanted to hear. Thank you.
I like my boat too.
Could I ask a question, Mr. Chairman?
Yes, sir.
And by this, without the designation, we are not qualified to request those funds, is that correct?
That's correct.
So you must have this designation to be able to be eligible for the funding.
That's correct.
And Pensacola is the nearest one that's gone through this?
Yes, they
Can you
just
tell a
went
little bit
through
about
it.
Pensacola and how successful that's been?
Yes, they were in existence for a little longer than us. I speak with their executive director almost on a weekly basis, and so they have not been appropriated funding yet, but they have been designated national. So the National Estuary Program bill is up for reauthorization in 2026. So that's the first step of us getting into that. Pensacola's already in there, and they named Mississippi Sound in there on the House side already, which has been in existence after we were.
And you're not aware of any communities that have done this that have asked to be removed from it?
No one that's asked to be removed from it, but we have, I think it's 5 in Florida, which I look to because they have to deal with the same state laws and all of that. So Indian River Lagoon, Tampa Bay, Sarasota Bay, and then Charlotte Harbor and Pensacola.
Thank you, ma'am.
All right. Ms. Peace?
First, I just want to thank Jessica Graham and her entire staff for the great work that they do. We really do appreciate it. I did want to mention that I got a call from, or a text from Tom Putnam this morning with Half Hitch Tackle that is in favor of this. I have not gotten any other calls or anything on it. I think that there are other ways to get money besides just the grants that maybe we have not looked at, but from Bay County's waterways are critical to tourism, commerce, environmental health, and public safety. Federalizing these waters would transfer key decision-making authority to federal agents, such as the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. If anybody here has ever tried to get a permit from the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, you know that it takes years to get that done. And I think that moving on to a bigger government and letting the state and the local government lose control of this situation is not something I personally feel like is something we should do. Local and state management allows for rapid response for storm damage and sediment buildup and navigable hazards. So after a hurricane, you know, all the boats that were left laying out in the bay and in the waterways, and I have no idea what we would have to go through to get this stuff removed if we were federal. And when we have to go dredge something that, you know, which we're getting ready to, I think you've got a dredging permit on one of your projects right now. So I think that is going to slow down. If you can imagine this government going slower than it does now, I feel like it's going to put it in reverse. While federalization may initially appear to provide financial support, it typically requires maybe a local share and some long-term compliance with the federal procurement and reporting. So I don't want to ask a bunch of questions that we may not have the answers to up here today, but I know that there is a lot more paperwork that's going to go along with making this all federal. Dredging permits, and let's just say that we had a national budget priority in some other area. I'm certain that they would take that money, that federal money, and push it toward a smaller, more substantial national project. I could go on and on with this. In conclusion, the importance, I understand, and I do know that you need the money. I have helped you with the budget, and I know that you need additional money. But I would also like to see the local and state folks step up to the plate and give you the money before we just give ourselves over to the federal government. I guess really the only thing I can say more about, I just disagree with this, and I don't think we should do it. And if everybody could just look at the situation that we're in right now, we can't even pay our troops. Where the federal government is locked down. We're in a situation right now where this is where we could be. And I know that everyone has read from the same information that says we're not going to, they're not going to have any control over us when they take this, but 100% the federal government will have control over what we do here. If if someone gets up there that does not agree with smart things like I know that Jessica does and tells us all we're going to be, using only electric motors, no props, jet only. Come on, guys. Our bay is, and our waterways is the heartbeat of Bay County. It is the heartbeat. It is what we have wrapped our whole county around. And I encourage you, please, don't give us more big government. Sorry, Jessica, but that's how I feel about it. And
I understand and
I had to
respect
express
that.
and I know you already knew it, but I just can't change my thinking on that. But thank you again for your hard work.
Thank
And
you.
I'm sure, everybody will have an opinion. Thank you.
Yep.
I'd like to hear a little bit of response to that. We've all had one-on-ones. We've all met with you and staff and had our own set of questions. You had other points for us. Going to electric motors and those type of things. That would be detrimental to
Absolutely.
to all the
Yes.
users. I was assured during all those meetings that this would not add more regulatory permitting, but how do we have a guarantee that that's the case?
History of other estuary programs. There have not been cases in other estuary programs that I've spoken to where the designation has been used to put more limitations on things. That's generally a local or a state thing that comes into play. Federal government, of course, can always trump it, but generally you have local and state governments have much greater and louder decision-making when it comes to things like that. And so the designation doesn't give them more ability to do that. They can do that now. Army Corps can reject a permit now. The national designation doesn't give them, well, you're designated nationally, so you can't do it. It has nothing to do with that. The estuary programs are designed to put the power in the locals rather than the federal government coming down. If we continue the way that we're going as a community, we're going to see higher restrictions being put because we're going to need it just to survive. We already have water quality issues. We have a lot of problems. We haven't yet had the state come in and put those regulations on us, but we see those down in South Florida where they've turned the table and the tipping point has surpassed. We're not there yet, and we're trying to stop us from getting there. So the designation doesn't provide them a hand to come down and grab. The policy board makeup stays the same. You're not giving voting rights to the federal or state government. It stays the local community, the local municipalities, and you guys are elected by the local citizens. So those decisions on where that money goes is from y'all, from the policy board members. So it just doesn't do that. I know that, we can have the back and forth, but there's the history of Tampa Bay, Indian River Lagoon, Sarasota. None of those have had their designation used against them for more regulation. Have they had more regulation? Of course, but not because of the designation.
Yeah.
And then one last thing. So as you know, we're in the middle of the permitting process for opening East Bay.
Yes.
That has been a huge process, long coming. I'd like to hear from you. Is that something that your board stands behind and supports the opening of East Bay?
We did
Pass.
provide that letter of support. The board did support a letter, and it's been delivered to Keith Bryant. for the support of, because it's in our CCMP. And so hydrologic reconnections, establishing any historical reconnections are outlined in our CCMP.
You are in support.
It's been written and signed.
So that's a yes.
Yes.
Okay. That's what I was trying to get on the
Sorry.
record. The head nod will not come up in the meeting minutes. So yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Got it.
Thank you.
All right. How can we, what are the assurances that we don't, because I'm not interested in any type of additional regulation at
Right.
all, none whatsoever. But clear concerns concern me also because we're not interested in that whatsoever.
Right.
And what kind of assurances can we have? I mean, just because it hasn't happened, is that all we have?
I mean, it's stated in the National Estuary Program bill that it's non-regulatory and that it provides the grassroots local community the means to be able to do what the priorities are as determined by you all. So it's in the bill itself, so when it gets reauthorized, it would have to be an act of Congress to change those words in the bill.
Do we have the option to get out of it if we decided that?
No one has done that, but I've had those conversations, and there is a intended process that we would reverse the process, basically. So we would, instead of asking to be national, we would ask to be removed from it.
Would that also take an act of Congress to get us out?
I think for my perspective, and because no one's done this, I can only speak on that, is as soon as we stop spending their money, they stop having control, right? And that's the way that you're thinking about it, is you spend the money. So as long as we stop spending the money, then it's no longer us being considered an estuary program for them. They'll reallocate the funding to others.
We really don't know the answer to that.
Right, because no one's done it.
We don't know if it doesn't take an act of Congress, literally, to get us back out of it.
And
A lot of unknowns there for us to just,
You got the letter of support this morning. Have we gotten other letters of people against this? Have you received any?
we got a letter against for the, trying to think of the name of the organization. Bob, you might can help me. The birds, piping plover, Choctawhatchee beach mouse, the same folks that have helped stop us from getting the Old Pass opened for how many years now?
Commissioner, you're referring to the letter of objection that was sent to the regulatory agencies
Yes.
regarding the East Pass?
I can't remember
Yes,
the
ma'am.
name of
I don't know if
like
it
the
was-
Audubon, maybe the Audubon Society.
I don't
was-
recall the name right off. I'd hate to name an agency that was not responsible, but you are correct. There is an agency that in the permitting process for the pass has responded to. I think it's, well, again, Commissioner, I'd hate to say somebody's name and be incorrect.
But
So
there is-
there has been a letter of objection
has been a
filed
letter.
with the regulatory agency regarding the East Pass project. Yes, sir.
But for this, though, is what I'm asking.
I'm not aware of any letters of objection to
No,
to
I have
this.
not. I have not gotten
Yeah, I'm
any
just
personally.
curious.
No, I have not gotten any
Have
personally.
you received any letters of objection?
No, sir.
I'm just asking. So,
Sure.
Jessica,
Let me ask Brian a question real quick, because if I remember correctly, you did read through the National Estuary Program. Can you speak to Claire's question as to about the unwind? Did you see anything in the laws that spoke to that?
I don't believe the National Estuary Program has a provision that speaks directly to non-designation, and it may very well require a act of Congress. I agree with Dr. Graham that as a practical matter, the string that the federal government has on us is the cash that it chooses to provide. So if we are no longer interested in the federal government being involved in the estuary, just stop taking their money.
Dr. Graham, can you explain to the public the money, how much money you receive now versus how much money you could potentially receive, and what you're using that money to do? What your work is in the community, the data that you're collecting, and kind of where it's going and how that works? Because a lot of people don't understand how that works that are in this audience.
Okay, so the current money that we receive are from competitively secured grants, which means we have to write proposals, submit them to an RFP that's been released, and get selected, and then wait for the money to get to us. Those projects that are proposed are based on what's in the CCMP as a priority and what matches the RFP. So I can't just write whatever project I want, it has to match what they want to fund. So, for example, one of the projects is some water quality monitoring that's going to be funded by the EPA. That'll support Baywatch to continue their water quality monitoring in St. Andrew Bay. It'll support us to be able to do some additional water quality monitoring to ensure the stations are in the right places to be responsive to the needs of the bay, and start in St. Joe Bay a citizen science water quality monitoring program. That's one project. Another project is that we have 60% design that's recently been completed on the floodplain, the upper tributaries of Springfield, draining to Lake Martin. So BDI was contracted to do that design, so now they're sitting on 60% designs to be able to do some restoration work. So those are the types of projects that could go on. I think we have 14 different grants going right now, but all of the projects that we submit for are what was prioritized and identified in the CCMP, and trying to move the needle on those.
And in this work, is there a potential hiccup that if we do take this money and in the future we push forward to opening East Pass, that this national designation can come back and hinder us or stop us? Because I can give you a good example right now, the Army Corps of Engineers holding up a project that we currently have been waiting on a permit since August. And it has been unbelievably hard to get them to do anything. When I tell you, it's frustrating because.
100%.
And that's my concern is.
Sure.
Federal government says if you don't like this speed, you're not gonna like the next one.
Right.
And I can tell you, I'm not for slower government. And I don't want any part of it. So that's a concern that I truly have, is that we get handcuffed, we get tied down, obligated.
Right.
Because we have taken this golden cookie, if you will. And so that's a concern that I have that I shared with Claire.
Sure, and I understand the concern. The designation isn't going to expedite or slow Army Corps and DEP's process. That process exists as it is. We're not an extra box that's on the permit that we have to approve the project or anything like that. You know, Outstanding Florida Waters has regulatory authority to it. That's a designation where you do have additional things that you have to check. It's not the same for the designation, for national designation. The pass, or the intention of the pass, is in the CCMP. So some of that funding that's coming from the federal government could actually be used for that because it's in the CCMP. That CCMP is our book of actions.
Thank you, Doctor.
All right, any others?
I just want to say how much I appreciate Jessica's hard work. I mean, I truly do, even though we disagree on this particular thing. She has done a great job. She's worked very hard, and her entire group back there, we appreciate all of y'all and everything you've done. I just
Take a
think
leap
this
of
is,
faith.
I think this is the wrong move. It's the easy move. It is the way to get the money and keep the money coming. And I know then maybe you can spend more time doing things that, you know, are important that have to do with this estuary program. If you had that fluff of money, I realize that 100%, because I have been intimately involved with your numbers, and so I know you need them. But I really would encourage us to not take that easy money. The easy money is the money that comes back and bites you.
Think it's easy because, you know, despite whatever decision you make, if you did approve it, it still has to get approved by Congress. So it's not a guarantee for us
That's
to
that
even
same
move.
bunch that's got to unapprove it when we feel like it's not going to work. And I'm not real pleased with them right now, because our troops are not getting paid. So with that said, thank you. That's all I have.
I don't know that it's been a lifeline, but Tampa, I mean, that was a huge influx for them, was it not?
It was huge. They also, through the estuary program, established a nutrient consortium. And so they kept the state from coming in and putting regulations on them for reducing their nutrient input by doing it voluntarily. and as they could. And so that's how they saw their seagrass come back, but they were able to update their infrastructure and do other things with the funding. And the funding, yes, it's an influx of federal funds, but we still have to work to provide match for it. So I still have to get grants. We still have to find the other ways of getting the funding in and being creative. And so those are continued discussions. It's not a one and done thing of we get it and we stop working on it. And there's so much need out there that $800,000 really is a drop in the bucket. But at least we would get a couple drops every year to be able to make a difference.
All right. Well, from my standpoint, you had mentioned federalism, and one of the things I get concerned about as we go through this is kind of unintended consequences of decisions that we make. Nobody can speak to what the changes will be or what the federal government will or will not do. I think all of us have dealt with the Army Corps in some shape, form, or fashion and know what that's like, as well as DEP and other items. Just to cover other notes, I've got two people, one to the left and one to the right of me, whose families made livings on the water and dealt with the government changing things rapidly on them and affecting them. And I think it's a concern both ways. I think there's a concern that the government can do this without us voting, but if we do join this, is there a way to do just a line item change in that bill that would unring that? And I think that's part of the concern that sits up here is, what is that unknown and what is the best thing to do? And this is one of those where there is no, I don't think for any of us there is a real clear-cut answer as to what that path is. And I think that's what leads to a lot of the hesitancy up here, is a concern from our standpoint of, we're going to do what we believe to be in the best interest of the community if we voted in favor of this, but what is the effect 10, 15, 20 years down the road of this vote, and what would it do to, for lack of a better way of saying it, my daughter turned 14 yesterday. That'd put her at 34. What would her world be like with what the government may do here? And our community, is one that does not like a lot of government involvement. We are very much an independent-minded group around here, and so that's one of those things. I will, like Claire said, kudos to you. I was involved with you in the stand-up of this, going through the organizational meetings. You've put in a lot of work. You've done a lot of things. You've had a lot of patience. You've met with us a lot of times, answered our questions continuously. And for that, I appreciate you. And at this point in time, unless there's any more discussion, we're going to need to make a call so everyone knows which way this is going to go and what we will do as a community. So with that, I will turn it over to the board. Thank you, Jessica. Turn it over to the board for a motion, and then on the motion, depending upon what that is, what the second may be, or modification, or what it may be. What is the pleasure of the board?
Make a motion that we do not move forward. Pass it through. I don't feel confident enough about it at this point to hand anything over to the federal government in that capacity. I'm a no.
Okay, we have a motion not to go forward with the designation. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion, a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rafield?
No, ma'am. No.
Yes.
Oh, yes, sorry, apologize,
The
yes.
motion's to deny.
Yes,
The motion
yes.
is to deny the request.
Yes is a no.
Yes is a no.
Commissioner Peace?
Yes.
Commissioner Crosby?
Given the ambiguities, I'm going to say yes.
Commissioner Carroll?
No.
Chairman Moore?
No. All right, with that, the motion passes. We move on to item 13, Public Works, recommendation for promotion of Mike Allen to Utility Services Director. Mr. Keith Bryant.
Good morning. With the retirement of Bobby Gibbs from the Utility Director position, staff's making a recommendation that Mr. Allen be promoted to Utility Director. Mr. Allen's been in utilities since 1989. He's been with Bay County going on a year. He has done a fantastic job serving us as the Assistant Utility Director. He's currently acting as the Interim Utility Director. He's here this morning if you have any questions, but the recommendation from staff is approve promotion of Mike Allen from interim utility director to permanent utility director.
I just want to say real quick, apologies, Mike, I learned this move from the gentleman to my left. And I just wanted to be able to bring you forward under the regular agenda and just say thank you for everything you've done. You've done great work. I'm looking forward to this and working with you, and just wanted to be able to give the community an opportunity to know who was stepping in and the work that you've done. So apologies, and kudos on you for not wearing a tie and breaking with Bobby's tradition.
I was going to say, Bobby always wore a tie.
I like the way you buck it right at the very beginning. So with that, I'd ask for a motion to accept my
Second.
motion and second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Peace,
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Mike. We look forward to
Thank you,
working
sir.
with you. Next, we've got Tourist Development Council, item 14, visit Panama City Beach, Florida Ironman Triathlon Route Authorization. I don't see Dan here, so Mr. Micah, if you would. All right. Please come forward. Sorry, didn't realize Dan delegated. I'm used to seeing him smiling and sitting over in that area.
He got voluntold to come join us.
I did, yeah. Dan's at a trade show in California, so, and Ben is on his way here. He runs a race for 20 plus years. So, but yeah, my name's Chris O'Brien, 104 Lake Circle, and thanks for letting me be here. And I'm here to answer any questions about the route and the Ironman.
All right, any questions? All right, I just have my normal, if we could get the variable message boards up early and often and make sure they're prominently displayed, and work with the news to make sure everybody knows when the race is going to be and kind of the time frames in all those areas, I'd greatly appreciate it.
Okay, definitely will.
All right,
Definitely will.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you.
All right, could I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second? Got a second? If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. Now on to public hearing. This is number 15, PLD PA 2025-0183 and PLZCA 2025-0182, small scale amendment and zone change, 1141 North Tyndall Parkway. Mr. Wayne Porter.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 16th, 2025, the Bay County Planning Commission conducted a public hearing to consider requests to change the future land use map designation of approximately 0.8 acres from residential to general commercial, and to change the zoning designation of 1.25 acres from R2 single family and duplex dwellings and C2 plaza commercial to C3 general commercial. Subject property is located at 1141 North Tyndall Parkway in the unincorporated Springfield area. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Planning Commission voted to find the proposed land use and zone change consistent with Bay County Comprehensive Plan and Land Development Regulations. A portion of this property currently has the general commercial land use and C3 zoning designations. The board approved a request from the property owner directly to the south to change that property to the general commercial future land use and C3 zoning designation just last month on September 16th. The property is located in a corridor along Tyndall Parkway with existing commercial future land uses and the accompanying C3 zoning designations. The property meets the bulk regulation requirements of the LDR in Table 6.1. Staff agrees with Planning Commission and recommends the board conduct a public hearing and approve the proposed amendments and adopt the attached ordinances. We have not received any public comment regarding this item. Here to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions for Wayne? All right, hearing none. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this matter? All right, seeing none. Could I get a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
Motion and a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next, we have item 16, PLLDR 2025-0184, the LDR text amendments to several chapters. Mr. Wayne Porter, once again, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. On September 16th, the Bay County Planning Commission conducted a public hearing to consider requests from staff to revise several chapters of the Bay County Land Development Regulations. At the conclusion of the public hearing, the Planning Commission voted to find the recommended text amendments consistent with the comprehensive plan and land development regulations. While most of the revisions represent standard maintenance in regard to cross-references, scrivener errors, change in agency name or responsibility, and compliance with state regulations, some of the revisions include language to address liveaboard vessels, requirements for land disturbance permits, allowing manufactured home in the beaches area special treatment zone, and removing gas stations as an allowable use within the C1 zoning designation. Attached for your consideration is a synopsis of the proposed changes and proposed amendments. Staff agrees with the Planning Commission and recommends the board conduct a public hearing, approve the proposed amendments, and adopt the attached ordinance. We've received no public comment in regard to this item. Here to answer any questions.
Any questions for staff?
Mr. Porter, on Chapter 405, regarding the manufactured homes in the Beaches Special Treatment Zone, that was prohibited before. Any reason why we would be changing that now?
From the moment it was prohibited to now, we constantly receive phone calls from property owners, just generally upset in tears when they find out that they cannot place a manufactured home on the property that they purchased and for their retirement. The language in Chapter 34, which covers residential structures in the beaches area special treatment zone, if you were to place a manufactured home within this overlay, you would still have to meet those requirements as far as the aesthetic requirements and the architectural requirements. So those standards are still in place.
So is there a difference in a mobile home, modular home, manufactured home, all of those under the same umbrella, or?
So a manufactured home is one that is inspected and approved by the federal government, the Housing and Urban Development Standards for manufactured home construction. Most often when people refer to a mobile home, that's what they're talking about, but by definition of our land development regulation, we're not considering mobile homes. It's manufactured homes that meet the HUD construction federal guideline standards.
So it can't have axle, can't have a tongue, wheels, that,
Correct, no, it has to be set up on permanent foundation.
so what we hear is a trailer. Even
Right.
if we change this, you still can't have a trailer.
That's correct.
Okay. But it can be something that's built in a factory, basically, that when it's set up, it looks exactly like the brick home next door to it.
Correct. You brought up modular homes. Modular homes are also manufactured homes, essentially, but they meet a different standard. They're built to the Florida Building Code standard. And you have varying degrees of modular homes, some that are more expensive, some that are less expensive. The ones on the more economic end of the spectrum, when you look at them, they look like a manufactured home. The only difference is that they're built to Florida Building Code standards.
Yeah, I think the concern that I've received is mainly that we can't have a trailer.
Trailers, correct.
That's the biggest concern.
Trailers, any structure that does not meet those federal HUD construction standards would not be permitted.
But does a trailer meet that? Does a trailer meet that?
No.
Okay.
No.
You said permanent foundation, concrete, pull axles off, no tongue on the front. And does it have to be a new mobile home replacing the old one? They can't bring in a 1987 and put it on a concrete slab and roll the wheels off of it and cut the tongue off and it meets the standard. Just trying to clarify rather.
Well, it would have to meet the same standard of any other manufactured home set up in any other part of the county that permits it. I know we have some ordinance requirements to inspect those older manufactured homes to make sure they meet certain criteria. So they would still have to meet that criteria as well.
Wayne, I had to ask you during my one-on-one with you about the fact of on something like this and in this area, could it be something where, as opposed to like in the other area, I think it was 15 years, but on this one, could it be within 5 years, if it was coming in and it wasn't a brand new, that it could only be within, like, since it's 2025, say 2020 or newer. Is that something that if the board so chooses, is that something that could also happen?
At the pleasure of the board, if they wanted to revise, if they wanted to move forward with this and revise that language to make that declaration that the home can only be within a certain age or timeframe, it's certainly a pleasure of the board to do that.
Any other questions for Wayne?
I had a few things.
Yes, ma'am.
First, this is 200 and some odd pages of changes. I think it would have been better if we had done this in sections, because if there's one thing within some of this that somebody might want to change, it's going to be very difficult to pull it out and make a motion. I had a couple of things. So the athletic courts, I think, were added in, or were they always here? The reason I bring this up is residential homes next to a pickleball court, or maybe just like being in an insane asylum. And so I'm just curious if that, we're gonna, no problem, bring them all in under this. I just feel like that needs to be looked at. I mean,
Well, the idea was to provide some sort of regulation. At this time, there's nothing that states someone can't come in and cover their entire backyard with athletic courts. We're dealing with a code enforcement case that involves the situation now. This would allow us to apply those setback regulations and site coverage regulations to that as well.
so the noise of the ball is not going to be able to be regulated, because our noise ordinance, you know, we have a machine, they come out and play after 10 o'clock, you know, maybe Major Baldwin could talk more about the noise ordinance and how it's really difficult for them to enforce any of it, because it just doesn't work the way we have it written. So that's one thing, and you've answered the question about the mobile homes, so thank you for that. The section 408, conditional use about unattached sheds on buildings, and I maybe am not reading that totally right, but I know that some of it looked like it fell under some restaurant and type businesses that might need an unattached shed. Are we just doing away with those, or
No.
Under section 408, number 2, conditional
That
use?
applies to the R5 and R5A multifamily residential zonings. This chapter 4 is residential zoning, so it doesn't
Okay.
apply to commercial zonings.
All right, well, when I pulled it up on here and read under it, it did have some language about restaurants and stuff, and maybe I was just not reading that properly.
It wouldn't affect their ability. This is less restrictive. No other residential category do you have to have a conditional use permit to have
a
an accessory
shed.
structure.
Okay.
So we're just removing that condition on the multifamily
All right,
zoning.
thank you. The communication towers, as I understand it, and we did have one that came up in front of us that one company wanted to put another tower right next to the tower that was there, and we had some language in there to share the use of that tower and that sort of thing. I just want to make sure that we're not falling into something where we're going to be putting one tower right next to the other.
I don't feel that's the case. The section that we're proposing to delete would make it more difficult for someone who wanted to bring in a tower right next to another tower.
Okay, just didn't read that way to me,
It-
and I want to make sure that we're not opening up a Pandora's box here, because this has been working. I'm not sure why we need to make any changes in it. It's just.
So currently, there is language in the LDR for communication towers that says you cannot locate within a half mile of another existing communication towers unless you can show these things. And one of those items is if you can show that that tower that exists within a half mile has unreasonable lease, language. So it's unreasonable, the cost of the lease is unreasonably high for them to be able to use that tower. So the way it's worded now, someone who wanted to come in and build a tower right next to another one could just say, hey, this tower, the owners of this tower are demanding way too high of a lease, and we can't afford it. There's also an issue of who makes that determination of what is unreasonable lease. It kind of falls on staff. Staff's not qualified to make that determination. So it removes language that allows kind of a window to exempt themselves from that half-mile radius requirement.
Section 707, special regulations about septic tanks being adjacent to shoreline, 100 foot from shoreline. 100% think that they should not be there. Let me make that clear. But what if we're in a situation where the person has a failed septic tank? They're not in a place where they could hook up the sewer, public sewer. Is there something that's going to cover them and let them repair?
There's a process for variance.
But it would have to go
request
to
that?
a variance
Yes.
in order for them
And
to
this
even be able
language
to
this language
repair.
isn't removing the requirement or adding a requirement to be 100 feet away from the shoreline. The way the language is worded, it talks about wetlands. Have to be 100 feet from the wetlands. But it's confusing in that it works in wetlands. The intent of the language is to keep it 100 feet from the shoreline. But to keep it 100 feet from all wetland delineations, it's excessive in my mind. And that's why the language is being revised, to kind of clear that up, to clear the misunderstanding up.
It does say adjacent to shoreline. I just want to make sure that someone who has a septic system that quits working is not going to, are we saying that they're going to have to come and get a
No.
variance? They're going to have to be without septic sewer at their home until they get a variance to get it
No,
repaired?
any existing septic system can be repaired and
Okay.
replaced. Yeah.
So those are grandfathered.
That-
Yeah, correct.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I
thank you.
misunderstood the
Yeah,
question,
no
yes.
problem. I just want to make sure that's in there somewhere, and I'm sure that.
And that'd be through DEP, right? That wouldn't even come to us, would it?
Correct, DEP will ultimately be
Just
the
they
one who
handle the
revises,
permitting
who
Okay.
reviews that and approves those permits.
Okay.
Correct. But we would not, the county would not have any, we wouldn't stand in the way of that replacement.
Okay, that's great. I just wanted to make sure, because I know that they're, I would love to see every septic tank get as far away from water bodies as possible, but Chapter 11, Section 1106, can you just run through the timeline on the PUD expectation date, that whole, when the DO is good? I think I understand that the DO is not good forever, that it's only good for 2 years if they hadn't started the project, but I just want, if you could clarify that. I had some phone calls about that, and I just would like to whoever's listening, maybe they could get a correct answer.
Yes, ma'am, when a PUD is approved, it's valid for 6 months if no development order has been submitted. No development, if a development order application has not been submitted within 6 months, then the PUD would expire. If we have a DO application that's submitted, the PUD remains active and valid. If we approve that development order, a development order application is valid for 1 year. If that is no development activity takes place, it will expire in 1 year unless the applicant asks for an extension. And the LDR allows essentially 2 years' worth of extensions. There's also, when we have some sort of, weather disaster, declared disaster by the state, there's also language that always prolongs development orders there as well. So, but the PUD stays active as long as the development order is active.
Chapter 22, RV parks from local roads. So I get phone calls on a regular basis about not necessarily RVs driving in residential neighborhoods, but multiple garbage companies. You would think that they could figure out how to just get one garbage truck going up and down the roads, destroying the residential roads, but for some reason, they can't get together on that. but delivery trucks, large 18-wheelers and that kind of thing that are going in residential neighborhoods. And I get those, I don't know if the rest of you get them, but I get them on a regular basis. So I'm just wondering, is this going to allow RV parks to go in every little area that they could pop in? And if so, are we concerned at all about the traffic going
No.
in residential
Now,
neighborhoods?
RV parks are, first of all, you have to have 5 acres minimum for an RV park.
Right.
And you have to have the appropriate zoning designation. What this does is, we get a lot of phone calls about destination recreational vehicle parks that are located kind of in conservation areas along, you can find a creek or close to that. And it makes sense that that would be a good place for a campground RV park, close to those natural resources. However, we have this language in Chapter 22 that says you cannot access an RV park from a local street. It has to be accessed by a collector or arterial designated road only. So this would allow some exception to that by conditional use permit only, which means it has to go before public hearing and be approved by the Planning Commission. For situations like that, where you have perhaps a natural resource and someone wants to locate an RV park or campground in that area, because that's where people like to camp.
Why was it put in there to begin with if somebody didn't feel like there was going to be a problem? Bunch of RVs, and I know I've got a big one, and I can't imagine going down
So we've,
local roads with it all the time, so it just doesn't.
so staff has been advising those folks who make that request that they could submit a conditional use permit application for that. We haven't had any applications yet. This would just be codifying it.
Landfills. And really, when we say there were a lot of Scribner's errors and all that sort of thing, there are a lot of things in here that are making major moves, in my opinion. I don't know if anyone else feels that way, but the need to require to operate multiple landfills, I'm concerned about that section 2307. Are we going to get in a situation where we have multiple landfills? I mean,
So there's no proposed language that changes any regulations for landfills.
it gets rid of the need to require and operate multiple, so you're saying, so 2307, and I could find it in here.
Stand by.
But it would take me a minute, maybe you probably can pull it up faster than I, and just reassure us that there's, that we're not gonna have small landfills popping up anywhere that they could be. We already have a problem with one landfill that we're trying to get something done about.
So we're not changing the language at all. We're rearranging the order of those items to where it makes more sense. So, no, ma'am, I can assure you that it's not changing any regulations that has to do with landfills. There's no new proposed language. In section 2307, you have items, you have the sub-items, which are 1 through 4, I believe. We're just rearranging the number.
No
The number.
change whatsoever.
There's no
in
new
landfill.
language being proposed.
So what was 5 is now 1, you're saying?
Correct. What used to be number 5 is now number 1.
I have one more, and it is the easy one. What is the difference in running the generator and the diesel-powered bypass pump? What
For
does
Chapter
that change?
27 utilities?
Yeah.
Can I get Mr. Allen to help address that
I
question?
mean, I was just curious. I don't mean to stall the meeting, but it was just an odd one.
Which section was that you're referring to?
Yeah, hang on one second. It was Chapter 27 under Utilities, Generator, difference in diesel-powered by bypass pumps. I was just wondering what the difference, what the change is in a week. We're still going to be able to use generators in some areas. We're not going to jump out and be changing all of that, are we? It's something you can answer later. It's really not a game changer. I was just curious about it.
Which section? Is it section 2709?
Yeah, I just wondered.
111 revises language for backup power
Yeah.
sources for lift stations?
We're just changing from generators going to bypass pumps, making bypass pumps required at lift stations rather than the generators.
So we're not just gonna go out and change all of our generators right now? We're doing it as we go along?
A
or
little at a
As we
time.
go along?
Yes,
Okay,
ma'am.
I was
But
making
any-
sure there
any
wasn't a
new-
big expense coming that we didn't have in our budget.
Any new lift stations require backup pump rather than generator.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's just for public ones, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I just ask one question? The planning board, when they met, did they have any questions at all about any of this? And do you remember if they had any questions?
There was only one comment from one of the planning commissioners. There was a reference to the current building code that was incorrect, that I had missed on that review. So he noted that to correct that, to say Florida Building Code. That was the only comment I had from the planning commission.
Out of 200 and some odd pages, they had one comment? Thank you.
All right. Anyone else?
I'd like to go back just, this is still bothering me a little bit. In our definitions, we have manufactured housing, which is what we describe, and we also have modular. And there is a difference of the two. And manufactured, by definition, structure manufactured after 1996, transportable, goes on and on and on. It's built on a permanent chassis, which means it has wheels. And I think that's what we're trying to, the beach fought hard not to have those located at the island.
So there is currently nowhere in the county where you can set up a home on wheels.
Hold on.
So a trailer?
A trailer?
No, it's not permitted. Our building department cannot permit those.
We got trailers all throughout the county.
I could take you to
There may be some that were set up without permits, or some that were grandfathered in, but there's currently,
We have trailer sale lots that
in
people buy.
in zonings that allow manufactured homes, they have to be set up on a block foundation, tied down, and they have to be HUD-approved manufactured homes.
So from that, Wayne, you're saying when they're put on blocks, just so we can try and clarify this, they're sold at a lot, they're driven out to where they are, the axles and everything are taken off, they're
That's correct.
blocked up, and that's what you're referring to, is there's
Correct.
no place here, that it
Yes.
gets there by the wheels, but then the axles have to be removed.
Well, that's the definition of a manufactured home, but then there's modulars, which are built in a factory, transported, put on a slab, permanent foundation,
Correct.
which fit in with the standard neighborhood.
And modular's built to a different standard, is it not?
Modular are built to the Florida Building Code standards, but they could also be set up on block pads.
But what we all think is trailers, if we approve this, they could come anywhere where you've got the R2 designation or higher, can come set that up.
Manufactured homes that are approved by HUD, but they would have to be set up on blocks and tied down. They cannot be set up on wheels.
Has it ever
And
been
that's
allowed?
anywhere in the county that allows manufactured homes.
Another question, a mobile home is anything built before 1976, correct?
I'd have to look at the definition. It's a home that doesn't meet HUD standards.
Right.
Would be a mobile home. And there is nowhere currently in Bay County you can set up a manufactured home that does not meet HUD standards.
All right. Any other questions for Wayne? All right, seeing none, thank you, Wayne. What is the pleasure of the board?
I truly wish we had split this up some, and so that we could look at some of these things that we all agree with, and maybe some of them that we want to have more discussion about, like the trailers, modular homes, mobile homes, whatever we want to call it. It seems like we could, we should have maybe had some of this split up. I know when I was talking with Brian about it, even though it looks like a lot of Scribner's errors. Some of it are major changes. And I think those maybe should have been brought out separately so that we could vote on those individually. I don't know at this point what we do. There are things in here that,
Anything pressing?
yeah, if we could
Well,
maybe make a motion to,
Well, there's one thing pressing because I made an error and I forgot to open this floor to the public for them to be able
Okay,
to
well, let's
discuss.
do
So,
that.
Mr. Chairman, if I could, if the board chooses not to move forward with any one chapter or any one section, I would still like to recommend that the chapters that you don't have any issue with, that we can approve those and then bring those chapters that you want to discuss back. We can do that at a later date.
Okay.
We don't have to bring the entire gamut of LER chapters back to you.
understood. Let's get through the public hearing part and then we'll do some more housekeeping. To that end, again, my apologies to y'all. This is a public hearing. If anyone wishes to speak to this matter, please come forward and let us know your thoughts. All right, seeing none. To the housekeeping, what I would like to do to what your request was, Wayne, is for us to be able to, at this point in time, hold, because there are a lot of moving parts to this, let the five of us talk with the county manager about, and then make sure we know what sections aren't an issue. We can get those on the agenda for the next time we can vote. We can move those on very easily. But, I mean, as much as, like she said, there are 216 pages, there are certain areas that somebody may have an issue with, but they were going to just, accept and move on and vote. But I think at this point in time, to do this the right way, let us do that. We'll get that together. The items that are kosher, I think by the end of this week, each of us as a commissioner, I've got agenda review with Bob on Thursday. If y'all can let us know by then, we'll get those that are not at question on the next agenda, get that done, and the ones that are, then we'll address those separately. It might not be how you want to do it, but I'm nervous about something slipping as well with us kind of making the sausage right now in this way. Is that all right with the board?
Cool with me?
I think it's fine. We could let.
Mr. Chairman, if I
change
could,
the-
a question
Yes, sir.
probably for Mr. Liebrick. Would that process be to continue this? Or, again, I'm just thinking to go through the process of re-advertising a public hearing, or just looking for some guidance on that?
If it's tabled to a future specific meeting, it won't have to be re-advertised. If you are just continuing it to an uncertain point, then it would have to be re-advertised.
My thought from that standpoint would be we table to the next meeting. At the next meeting, we'll have the ones that will specifically go, and then we will table whatever other ones might not be addressed within that time frame to the following meeting after that, and then we'll have everything done hopefully within the next two meetings.
Is just a suggestion, and it may complicate things more, but to allow him to go ahead and make the Scribner's errors and make those changes so that it shrinks this document down to a size where we're just going over the major item changes, or is that going to be more complicated?
Again, I think through conversation over the next several days, as the chairman suggested, if there are whole sections that are on this agenda that you're comfortable with, that we don't need to make any changes to, and we'll just pull those out, put them under, a separate vote at the next meeting. Any of those that are remaining, we can either get those items addressed between now and the next meeting with you, or to the chairman's recommendation, we could continue them again if need be. Or you could give direction that you want certain chapters to be handled completely by themselves. If there's enough concern and there needs to be some more dialogue, that would be the option of the board. But I think certainly between now and the next meeting, we can work with you to identify which chapters you have no issues with and get those adopted at the continued hearing.
I understand.
That work?
I understand. So with that, I just would like to make a motion that we table this until the next meeting. That will give us all time to go through and maybe ask a few more questions if we need it.
All right, we've got a motion and a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. All right, now, item 17, County Attorney Tax Exempt Bond for Ascension Sacred Heart. Mr. Brian Liebrick.
And I apologize, I have a little script here that I'm going to read. Pursuant to Section 147F of the Internal Revenue Code, the Board of County Commissioners caused a notice of public hearing to be published on its website with respect to the issuance of the Indiana Finance Authority for tax-exempt bonds for the benefit of Ascension Health Alliance, which is a Missouri nonprofit corporation and organization described in Section 501c3 of the code. A portion of the proceeds of the tax-exempt bonds will be used to finance, including to reimburse or refinance the Bay County project, which is the acquisition, construction, equipping, repair, restoration, reconditioning, remodeling of the facility down on Cove. The Bay County project is owned by the Bay County Health System LLC, which is a Florida LLC, which is wholly owned by Sacred Heart, which is a Florida non-for-profit corporation described in Section 501c3. And both of those entities are affiliates of Ascension. The remaining portion of the proceeds of the bonds will be used by other affiliates of Ascension for projects located in other states, including Indiana, Illinois, Kansas, Missouri, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Texas, and Wisconsin. That is a long way of saying that we're being asked to hold what's called a TEFRA hearing, which is a process where Ascension would be able to qualify for tax-exempt bonds. The county is not on the hook for any of this obligation, but the process under the IRS code requires a public hearing that we do. So I'd request that we hold a public hearing and getting comments from members of the public about this bond issue.
That, I'll go ahead and do that and open the floor to the public. Is there anyone that wishes to speak to this matter? All right, seeing none.
And so now I'd ask the board to adopt the resolution authorizing this bond issue by Ascension.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Crosby.
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. All right, next, item 18, revisions to Chapter 18 of the Bay Board of County Commissioner Code of Ordinances. Mr. Liebrick.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This is part of our ongoing effort to review county ordinances and make any changes that are recommended. This is the Parks and Rec chapter, and the changes that are being recommended, one would authorize the board by resolution to adopt specific rules and regulations governing individual parks. I think in the future we'll be seeing some proposals from Parks and Rec for rules for individual park systems. So this would authorize that system. The other one would codify a practice that has already happened where alcohol would be allowed in parks as part of an approved special event permit. The special event permit would have conditions to address insurance and other things, and that would be a process that the county manager could oversee and could choose not to allow alcohol as he seems fit. That's it.
Okay. Again, this is also part of the public hearing. I open this up to the floor. Anybody that wishes to speak to this matter, please come forward, state your name and address for the record. Okay, seeing none. What is the pleasure of the board?
Motion to approve?
Second.
Motion and a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Redfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. Now, item 19, High Impact Period Regulations Ordinance. Mr. Liebrick.
Mr. Chairman, before you this morning is an ordinance that proposes a series of actions to address security issues and crowd control issues during high visitor periods in the unincorporated part of Panama City Beach. These proposals follow a series of meetings that the county and city leadership had with law enforcement officials and tourism industry folks in the aftermath of the events of Spring Break 2025. The proposed ordinance mirrors an image that the city of Panama City Beach recently adopted, and I see the mayor of Panama City Beach in the audience. As you know, the county often attempts to match Panama City Beach regulations when they relate to visitor experience because the line between the city and the county is invisible to visitors, and common regulations promote a standard visitor experience. And as it relates to many of these issues, crowd and security problems don't respect government jurisdictional boundaries. Many of you personally experienced some of the problems from Spring Break 2025. And I'm sure all of you have seen the media reports and social media comments about what happened. I also provided you with a video of the presentation that the Panama City Beach Police Chief made about his views about the issues that were encountered and the need for this proposed set of ordinances. The recitals that we proposed in this ordinance were largely borrowed from the findings of the city made in connection with its ordinance. Briefly, this ordinance would allow the county commission and in limited circumstances the county manager to identify high impact periods where the county is expecting an influx of visitors, which place an unusual strain on the county's normal public resources. During these high impact periods, certain additional regulations will be turned on automatically, and other regulations can be turned on if the county manager, in consultation with the sheriff, determines that it's necessary. And Major Baldwin is here to address this proposal, and like I mentioned, the mayor of Panama City Beach is here as well. And this is a public hearing.
All right. Good morning, Major Baldwin.
In keeping in tune with what we've done in the past, which is since 2015, we had the issues at Spring Break that we came to you with the issues and needing your assistance in giving us some tools in our tool bag to make this trouble go away and to enforce the laws and ordinances that we're creating such an issue to our citizens. So in keeping with tune with mirroring what Panama City Beach has done, mirroring what you did back in those days to be able to give both of us in that one unity of law enforcement that we have for Bay County, Panama City Beach, and all the other municipalities, the sheriff and I really think this is going to give us more tools to help us enforce that unaccompanied juvenile issue that we've had, using our Bayrock, using all the tools that we have to be able to see when an issue is coming to Bay County, and having the ability to talk with the sheriff and the county to allow us to have that special impact zone that we had from the governor, which really helped with some of the truck issues we had, some of those pop-up parties, and just that takeover Bay County crime that was coming to us, for lack of a better term. But we really think this is going to be a good tool to help us work hand in hand with the beach. They already have it passed. We'd ask that you please pass it as well. The big thing is that unaccompanied minor issue that we can have, where we can deal with citations, we can deal with removing people. We can do curfews. We can restrict access to areas of people that are just going to come in and congregate and have no respect when they show up, unfortunately. They don't have parental guidance while they're here. And we see what has happened in the past. And we'd like to not see any more of that, or give us the tools to be able to combat that for law enforcement. Seeing that there is impact to other areas beyond law enforcement, but for us at the Sheriff's Office and on behalf of Sheriff Ford, we'd really like to see this pass, please.
Thank you.
All right, any questions for Major Baldwin?
No, other than thank you guys for the unbelievable job you guys do in protecting our community during those
Yes, sir.
those busy times. We
Yeah,
we
thank
know
you
it's
for your
stressful.
continued support to us too as well.
Yes, sir.
It's the
Thank you.
best it's ever been.
Thank you, David.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
I have just a couple of things.
Yes, ma'am, can we let the mayor speak first, or if he,
I didn't
I'm
realize
assuming,
he was coming up here, but I'd love for him to.
all right, then we'll let you sit back. Okay, sorry. Yes, ma'am, please.
Is the public need to speak for anybody else?
Well, I figured we'd talk and then
Perfect.
give it to the
I
public.
just didn't want to jump the gun again. I didn't know the mayor wanted to come up here. Major Baldwin was so elegant and such a gentleman in his statement just now, and I appreciate that. I'm going to just give you the round to the brass tacks of this thing. I've been working spring break since 2013. I've been out there at night, walking the street in front of whatever condos that I represented, which were all up and down the beach, from West End all the way to where we have the problem now, every single night till 2, 3, 4, 5 o'clock in the morning. When they first came to us with the problem in 2014, 2015, it was kids that were of age that were causing the problem. And then, of course, we got the bad element that came in. And I was not here, but this board did something about it, and it stopped it. It turned the face of Panama City around. I was renting to spring breakers for years. I can't sit here and say that we didn't do spring break. Everybody that was in my line of work did spring break. Spring break turned bad, and when it did, this board fixed it. Now we have a situation where unaccompanied minors are taking over our beach completely. When I say taking it over, the Sheriff's Department, the Panama City Beach Department are on the beach, and they are surrounded by thousands of kids, thousands of them. There's no way that something really bad is not going to happen. It's just the odds. They have gotten guns, drugs, anything else you can think of off of these young kids, and they are out at Pier Park shooting the place up. They are taking over the beach in front of Shores of Panama and Lake Town Wharf and Pineapple Willie's, and have pretty much destroyed the reputation of those condos, which are, 2,500 or so units. The owners in those units have watched these crowds gather out in front. I've watched them at my business. I've watched people tell me, or listened to people tell me, say, what has happened? Every square inch of the whole strip on Thomas Drive is covered in a blue light. You immediately pull up and you think that we've had a mass killing, which could happen, because it is to that point. They are shooting handguns. They're shooting automatic rifles on Thomas Drive on our beach. We have to do something. Do I think this, what has been drawn up by the beach, is going to fix everything? I don't. I wish it had more teeth. I wish we were able to take every single one of those kids that spit on the police and talk nasty to them and tell them they can't move them, they're not going to move them, every single one of them. And if they're too young to take them, we need to look at their parents for their behavior. It is 100% out of control. When people cannot go to Pier Park and shop because of rapid gunfire, we have to do something. The beach has taken the lead. They have pulled this ordinance together. I don't think it's 100%, but it is something that I think we need to roll with. And I say that because the minute the beach, they've already adopted it, and if we sit up here and we don't adopt it, or we want to sit here and massage it as slow as government is for, a few more months, they're going to just move their parade, their clown show down to the pier, down to the county pier, or to the county property. So I don't want us to sit here and be behind the curtain and not swiftly move to go ahead and follow the beach on what they think is going to work. Now, if it doesn't work, or if it needs changes, we have next year, we can tweak it, we can completely do away with it, but to sit here and for us not to move on something, I think is a mistake. Now, I must say that I have one dear friend of mine who is a real estate broker who is totally against this ordinance, and I will have to hear about it forever if I don't bring it up. So I'll bring it up. She feels like that we do not have the legal teeth to withstand whatever we have to withstand to try to protect our public, but what's that worth? I mean, do we, and I think maybe Brian will tell us that maybe there's some situation there that could get us into a legal situation. We've talked about it. I'm sure the beach has talked about it, but to sit here and do nothing is just not acceptable, in my opinion. So that's all I have to say about it. Thank you.
All right. Anyone else up here? Any questions or comments want to make real quick before I open to public?
I think we have to do everything possible to protect our citizens and our beach. I mean, this is not Miami-Dade County. We have a standard of, that we expect people to act when they come visit. At what point do you sell your soul for money? I'm not for that. We have to do everything we can to protect Bay County and the people that live here. And, I have a 12-year-old daughter, and during spring break, we don't go to the beach. I'll just be quite honest with you, and I think I speak for a lot of other people here. They're in fear of taking their children, of what you might see, what they might hear. When you hear shootings in Pier Park, that's a real problem. And that's not who we are. And that behavior is not going to be accepted. And I think I speak for the board. We have to do everything we can to push that away from our community. So that's where I'm at with it.
Just one comment. Just want to thank the Beach City Council and the mayor, legal staff out there for y'all taking the lead on this. We have a great partnership, continue to have one, and it is a united front, like Brian says. No one knows if you're in the county or the city, even the county peers in the city. So I think you give those individuals too much credit to know that they would be in the county, so.
Well, maybe so. Maybe so.
Yes. So you're more than welcome to park there anytime you like, sir. So, but no.
Make sure you click the code there.
He's a resident, so he's good to go. But no, I wholeheartedly, I mean, we are a unified front between the beach and the county, and we all have to work together. We got to protect these visitors. That beach lives off the visitor traffic, and we got to keep those kids safe, all the individuals that come here and visit this incredible beach that we have. So we got to make sure the message is positive. It's always a chamber kind of day. So anyway, thank you, sir.
I agree. I think we need to give our law enforcement the teeth they need, the tools they need to keep our beach safe and attractive for the families to come. Families for what we want to attract, and I think we need to keep that image that we're actually taking steps to ensure that it's a safe place for them to come. So I agree completely.
All right, and before I make my comments, I'll open this up. This is a public hearing, so if there's anybody from the public that wishes to speak to this matter, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Hi, I'm Gail Dean, 301 DeLuna Place at Panama City Beach in the Laguna Beach area. And I have been doing a lot of work throughout the Laguna area with people about the safety of the area and exactly these kinds of problems. And I will tell you, you have overwhelming support from the folks in Laguna Beach to do this. They want law enforcement to do everything they can to make it safe. And if some of our customers don't come, we'll get other customers here. So we really appreciate the efforts that you guys are doing on this. So thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Anyone else?
Good morning, Commissioners. Michael Steinkirchner. I live at 5418 Pine Tree on the beach side. I appreciate Commissioner Ratfield, Commissioner Crosby, as well as Commissioner Peace, her comments earlier about the impact. There's a couple of things that have come to light since the beach actually adopted theirs. There's a new Florida statute. I think I shared that with Commissioner Ratfield and Commissioner Crosby. It's about regulating employment hours for employees. So some of the security protocols that are put in for manpower and people have to be employed at this from this hour to this hour, I think that's preempted by state statute. Before I go any further, for those who know me, I'm a huge supporter of law enforcement. We do need change on the beach. But to go back to Chairman Moore's comment on another matter, these are the unintended consequences of what happened by regulating out spring break and there being a vacuum created. So again, this is not any sort of dig. I do support the curfew. I do support the additional fines, and Commissioner Peace can speak to. She's probably the duty expert on 718 for condo law, sitting up here. Not just the public beach accesses, but even the properties adjacent. 718 provides where those can actually be restricted from the owners and visitors of the condos directly, and the beach has done that. The biggest thing I think with this is, if we look back at the Classy Cycles case about the scooters and the vests, that was sent all the way up to the first DCA, and they kicked it back. It was bad law. And I think there's portions of this that relate to the regulation of the condos and the short-term rentals. It's bad law. It's an encroachment on state law. The other thing is, when 2318 was written regarding short-term rental registration, the Bay County didn't include that. None of those condos are registered with the county other than bed tax. So when we talk about code enforcement coming up and the police coming up to reach out to that responsible party, there is no responsible party for condos. So you'd have to go back and rewrite that and incorporate responsible party before actually enacting this portion of it. So again, based on my conversations with Chief Tao and other public officials, one of the things that was never done, and I filed 2 public records requests, there was never any nexus that the people that are doing the shootings are actually staying at the short-term rentals. Just because there's a pack of wild dogs out in front of my house doesn't mean those are my dogs. So again, I think looking at and bifurcating the public safety sector versus the private industry and the condos should be removed from this. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Well, I make a motion that we, or did you want to speak, Mayor? Go ahead, sorry.
Stuart Tedmer, 300 Tarpon Street. Chairman Moore, Commissioners, thank you so much for considering this. We all know that what happened this spring can't happen. Commissioner Ratfield, you said your family doesn't go out to the beach during spring break. I have residents who will not go to certain areas of the beach during spring break. They call these things takeover events. We can't let them, and we're not going to let them, take over Panama City Beach. So thank you for joining the CARES program. Thank you for the TDC public safety funding. That's all part of a package here to keep Panama City Beach safe for our residents, for our employees, for our business owners, and for our visitors. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. Real quick. Brian, I know, yes, sir, please come forward. While you're coming forward, Brian, the item was brought up about the state statute, and you had sent out an email. Would you mind addressing that real quick, please?
Yeah, so last year, the legislature passed an ordinance preempting regulation regarding the scheduling of employees. I looked into the legislative history for that, and there hasn't been any court decisions interpreting it, but it's very clear from the legislative history that what they were attempting to address was about the process of scheduling employees. There were jurisdictions that were saying, well, you have to give employees 7 days notice before their next schedule comes out, or you can't force somebody to do a closing shift followed by opening shift, or stuff like that. So I think it has to do with the process of scheduling, not, and what this ordinance says is it just requires certain types of security at certain times of day during a high impact period. It doesn't require that they be employees. It doesn't say how they do their scheduling. It just requires that they, through some method, provide a method for security. So I don't think there's any concern that the change to Chapter 448 is implicated here.
Sorry, sir. Thank you. Your name and address for the record.
Address is 4342 Huckleberry Lane.
And your name?
Bruce Priest.
Yes, sir. Please.
Okay, mine is concerned about parking. As a disabled person a little bit, have trouble walking, as it just brought it to the head. I walked up here, and I don't think it's right, because I'd get a ticket, and anybody else would get a ticket parking, just like the Channel 13 and Channel 7. If I pulled up basically up on the sidewalk, I don't think that should be allowed. They should park where everybody else should park.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
That's my opinion. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. As it relates, my comments, as you know, Claire, you said you started working there in 2013. I was living on the beach, and I remember in 2015 when everything was happening, both the city and the county stepped up and acted. And overall, I'd say probably 80 to 90% of the overlaid where they were doing the same thing. And I remember at that time there were a lot of feelings both ways about, well, you're going to, affect a lot of businesses do those different things. And at the time, I thought kudos to the people that were sitting where we sit now that were willing to take that on and be able to address it. I've had conversations with the mayor about this and where these different things are. I've had a lot of conversations with the sheriff. I know Claire jumped on this immediately through both being the chair of the TDC as well as being one of the beach commissioners, meeting with the city as well, law enforcement, and working through these things and trying to address these things. I know this is just one avenue that we're working to address. I know the TDC is trying to address from the standpoint of targeting different types of people to be able to come in and do. And so this, please understand that what we're talking about here is a layer upon layer of trying to address. But I do think that one thing that is proven through the time is we've got to face it, we've got to address it, and we're probably going to have to make some revisions because of how this is moving. And the points you raise are valid, but I don't think in this case, we know the consequence of not doing anything in what we've got, and law enforcement and the sheriff specifically came to me and asked, give me these tools. And from that standpoint, I'm going to trust Tommy and the sheriff's department and his crew that are working with Chief Towle and his crew to be able to try to address these issues. And the citizens have spoken as well, saying, we thought we got rid of this in 2015. It's coming back. We don't need to let this build. From my standpoint, I believe this is one of those things where we're pricking a balloon and trying to get to it before it gets too big and it causes a bigger issue. And so from that standpoint, I am looking for a motion, which I think I was getting. So, Mr. Crosby?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Crosby?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Peace?
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore?
Yes, ma'am. All right, our last item on the agenda, the lease agreement and grant agreement with Global Impact Products, LLC, and Triumph Gulf Coast.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. This has to do with a lease for a portion of the old incinerator property and a related grant agreement with Triumph Gulf Coast. Both of these items independently have come to you before. These are the final versions. The lease agreement, the company, Global Impact Products, will pay a $2 million lease fee up front, and then it's $1 a year after that. It is tied to the job targets that are specified in the grant agreement, and the other conditions of the Triumph grant. And under the terms of the grant agreement, the county will receive some funding which it can use to make some improvements to the property to facilitate the new business that's going in there. I think that's basically it. I've talked a lot today, so.
All right.
Not that much.
So this is still part of the public hearing. If there's anyone that wishes to come and speak to this matter, please come forward, state your name and address for the record.
Good morning, Mr. Commissioner and the board. Thank you. My name is Becca Harden, and I'm at 5232 Finisterre Drive. I'm also your representative for the economic development efforts here in Bay County. This is a project that we brought you about a year ago, and it's a company that already utilizes our port to import raw materials through the Port of Panama City from Mexico and the Yucatan, our sister area. And they plan on increasing their port activity. They also plan on hiring 150 people at an average wage higher than the Bay County average wage, and they will invest $14.5 million in capital investment. It's a great economic development project for our community. It's a great project for our port, and I just ask you to please support this lease, and we look forward to bringing this company to our community.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak to this matter? All right, seeing none. Can I get a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion in multiple seconds. If you would, please call the roll.
Commissioner Peace,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Crosby,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Rattfield,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Carroll,
Yes, ma'am.
Chairman Moore.
Yes, ma'am. All right, that concludes our agenda and brings us now to public comment. This is open to any issue which you think the county may have authority over. If you would, please come forward and state your name and address for the record.
Good morning again, Commissioners. Michael Steinkirchner, 5418 Pine Tree. I appreciate the feedback on the previous item, and I won't go back to that. But to piggyback off of the spring break issues, one of the issues that I brought to the City Council after reviewing over 600 police reports and cases from the criminal court, I know Chief Talamantes over there met with the Chief Judge at the court. I know that's an independent body from this body. But one of the issues that we saw during that period of time was a revolving door. Larry Batsford's office was not aggressively prosecuting those cases. Felonies were getting reduced to misdemeanors. Firearms that were seized were being put back in the hands of the individuals with no objection from Mr. Batsford's office. So the true teeth, as what was spoken to earlier, is this commission and the Panama City Beach Commission holding the judiciary and Mr. Batsford's office accountable for imposing the maximum penalties. These folks are coming here, they're getting a $50 fine, a weekend in jail, and going back. That is not what needs to happen. So if you truly want to support the ordinance that you just went through first reading, the second part of that is pushing this over at the county courthouse to making sure that there are teeth in the bite. Thank you.
Thank you. Name and address for the record, please.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name's Jimmy Dotson. My address is 21522 Clarks Road at Fountain. I want to thank you for allowing me to speak this morning. I was a military firefighter for 20 years, retired as assistant chief. I then served as a career firefighter, retiring as an officer after 20 years of service. So I have a vast knowledge of how emergency services should operate. I've witnessed some of the best firefighters and paramedics in the state here in Bay County. I've witnessed them responding to emergencies, including a wildfire in a wooded area across the street from my house. It would have burned my house probably if it hadn't been for them. When it was announced Matthew Lindworth was elected as next fire chief of emergency service, I was encouraged by a firefighter medic, which came as a street credibility. He served his country as a member of the U.S. Navy, so he has experience with the military community. In his previous role, he was able to decrease EMS response times by 30%, and a 10% increase in call volume happened. He was able to replace 7 vehicles with new ambulances and 3 more in the next budget year. He was able to increase staffing by 24 ambulance service personnel and bring on 3 battalion chiefs. Before he was hired as deputy chief, where he was hired to fix staffing shortages in Missouri. So my question today is, what changed in Administrator Lindworth's progressive approach when he became chief in Bay County. Did the commission require him to change his strategies? Since he was hired, services have decreased, staffing shortages have increased. There are currently 75 miles of Bay County that do not have fire and emergency services on a full-time basis, and our county manager supports that. We don't have full-time services like the rest of the county did. He was hired for emergency services to increase our services, and they have decreased. The station in Sand Hills is all but closed. Station in Youngstown has been under brownouts, and those resources have been moved elsewhere in the county at night, especially on the weekends, to staff ambulances. Browning out fire stations is an unacceptable and blatant disregard for the lives and property of those serving in the community, by community. The unfair treatment and lack of services to your constituents in the north end of the county is a disgrace. Many things don't change until there's a tragedy. Tragedy occurred on September 28th when around 6 p.m. a 3-year-old child was struck by a vehicle. The family scooped him up and drove to the station, but there's nobody there. Youngstown Station's been empty night after night. I go there and take pictures since this due to reallocation of resources for near the beach. There's no private vehicles in the parking lot, no lights on at the station. It's closed. Our firefighters and EMS providers want to be there. They want to serve the community. They're the ones thinking day after day what could have happened if we'd been there that night. It's not their fight. It's not their fault. Administrator Lindworth is at fault, and his supervisor is at fault. You're his supervisors. Safety and security are basic human needs. We all have those needs. My wife and I need safety and security, and I've got more things to say here, but I only got 19 seconds. I talked to Ronnie Smith this morning. His child was the one that was killed. They drove that child. A police officer, Bay County, picked him up on 231 and drove that child to the hospital, not an ambulance. I'll be back. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you.
Hi, Gail Dean, 301 DeLuna Place, Panama City Beach, Laguna Beach community. My purpose in coming here today is to raise awareness, which I know you all already have, about the concerns about protecting our beach. This past season, I'm sure you're all aware, I kind of refer to it as a plague of locusts of vendors on the beach. And you guys have taken remarkable steps to address that. And one of my concerns is a lot of people come to me in the community and say they go to the beach and it looks like a beach in a third world country because of the debris and other things left behind by these vendors. So one of the things that you guys have done, which I greatly appreciate, is over the summer you've changed some of the codes, especially for the bonfire folks and the weddings, to make sure that upland owner approval is required for those permits. So I kind of want to let you know where we kind of stand on that. One of the biggest concerns that I have is that we're not getting full visibility. First, let me say, process change is always challenging, and we just need greater visibility, we need more monitoring, and we need enforcement. The biggest concern we have is with the bonfires. They're a threat to the beach as well as personal safety because we've got trucks roaring up and down the beach in the dark, matter of time before somebody's hit. Also, the debris, they drive through the debris, they dig a hole and put the debris in the sand. They also throw the debris in the garbage cans. So a recent example that we have, and I know I don't have a lot of time, but I asked for data and got data yesterday about this. We had a double bonfire. Over 100 people attended outside of Thomas's Donuts. And so when I looked at the data that I got, it was very summarized, so I couldn't tell things, so I had to deduce. One thing I know is the owner approval was never given. It was never requested, and it was never given. So there's a process problem there. Also, just looking and telling anecdotally, this bonfires are supposed to be 200 feet apart. These two bonfires were probably less than 50 feet apart. So that violated what the vendor was agreeing to do. So one of the things that I wanted to point out is that we don't always have compliance. We're standing ready to help y'all in any way with the process, and I want to take my last few seconds to thank 4 people who in Bay County have been helpful. Dustin Marsden over in Emergency Services helped me a lot. Vince Martin over in Parks and Recreation. Jacob, don't know his last name, would leave no trace, and Sherry Hardy here who helps manage y'all's process, and I really appreciate their help. So anything that we can do to help, we're right behind y'all, but it's going to take a while, I know. Takes a village. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Andrew Hatchett, 829 Clement Drive. Appreciate y'all for allowing me to come up this morning. Just a quick introduction to myself. I live here in Bay County. I've got a daughter that goes to school here in Bay County. My wife works at the hospital here in Bay County. I represent the company called Truckworks. We work with a lot of the vendors, work with a lot of the cities. We're working with the counties. I'm new to the position. Just kind of wanted to come up and give a formal introduction to myself. Hoping to, drum some business, do what I can to help you guys out, maybe solve some problems that you currently have. We all know equipment is an issue. We all know that technicians to take care of that equipment is an issue, and we know that the tools to do that is a bigger problem also. Training's required, pricing of tools, everything's out there. So we offer 5-day-a-week parts delivery. I live right here in town. I'm a phone call away. We've also got field service techs, and we've got 2 locations, one in Dothan, one in Defuniak Springs, that we're welcome to bring anything to, full service center, take care of any of your truck needs that you have. We do medium duty and heavy duty trucks, and like I said, I appreciate the time today, and if you have any questions or would like me to get with one of your team to help them out, please let me know.
Thank you very much. Anyone else?
I'll make this quick, I promise.
Name and address for the record.
Good morning, Commissioners. Hunter Bailey, 9232 US 231. I represent North Florida Professional Services. We're one of the engineering firms that you guys will sign a contract later on today that you voted on the consent agenda. Just want to say thank you for your opportunity to work for you guys. We're looking forward to it. I serve as your client manager for here along with Mark Mason. He's our senior engineer for this office. So if we can do anything for you, just let us know. We're looking forward to working for you guys. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. Seeing none. County Attorney's Report.
Appreciate the board's support of the 6 items I think the county attorney had on today's agenda, and that's it.
All right. County Manager's Report.
Nothing from staff, Mr. Chairman, but I'm available for any questions the board may have.
Yes, sir. All right, so Chairman, Commissioner comments. Commissioner Crosby?
Real quick, I just want to remind everyone, to your point, drawdown will begin on November 19th and will end on March 2nd. We also have on Saturday, October 25th, a youth fishing rodeo at Frank Brown Park. That's all I've got. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Peace?
Just wanted to thank the board very much for going along with the city's spring break ordinance. I don't take a lot of faith in Facebook, but I was keeping up with the Facebook post for the car show that they had up in the mountains, where they pretty much shut the town down, destroyed the businesses. We're doing donuts in the middle of their roads. They're, right in their recreation, right in the area where all the hotels and stores and shops are. And it was pretty incredible. They threw that group out and are never going to invite them back. But I did notice one of the posts that says, well, I guess we're going to the beach. So thank you again for, I didn't want to bring that up till the end, but I appreciate the support on.
Would you recommend another beach?
I hope it's Myrtle, Dirty Myrtle, but we'll see.
All right. Commissioner Raffield.
First of all, I want to thank Becca and Ben for being here today. They do a great job at EDA. Congratulations on your brand new baby, Ben. That's a big deal. I want to give a quick update on High Point Landing. We are still waiting on a permit from the Army Corps of Engineers. I have been working like crazy trying to get a permit. Again, working with an individual out of Nevada. You heard that correct, Nevada. Anyway, so we are pushing forward and getting that happening pretty quick, hopefully. Also, too, thank you to Parks and Rec for the phenomenal job they did over the weekend. We had a great turnout. The fall hayride was great to see families out, and so at Harder's Park. So thank you to them and the great job they did.
All right. Commissioner Carroll.
Yes, sir. Also want to say thank you to Parks and Rec. They had kind of double duty. I got a text early in the morning of why are all these traffic conditions going on? Because they had soccer matches that morning, so then they had to transition from soccer to the fall festival, so great job there. Most of us were at the delegation meeting last night. Got to hear Representative Griffiths and Senator Trumbull. We appreciate that. Thank you, the chairman, for your opening remarks to them. It was a great turnout in here. We got some good updates. Last week, I had the pleasure of serving on a panel in Tallahassee. House Representative has a intergovernmental committee that I got to sit on. They actually wanted to know the makeup and how county governments work. There were representatives, county commission throughout the state, so I was thankful that they're actually getting input and not just making rules without getting the input, so I think it was very effective. And also last week, attended the Mexico Beach CDC meeting, and that's always a great time. If you have not been to Mexico Beach in a while, I encourage each of you to go visit Mexico Beach. It is actually just blooming over there. So that's all I have, sir.
All right, thank you. I'm going to start off with, I'd mentioned a little bit earlier, but happy birthday to our youngest daughter, Avery. She turned 14 yesterday, and she just picked up her first boyfriend. I'm still not sure how I feel about that. I also want to recognize Leadership Bay. I know y'all thinned out a little bit, but thank y'all for coming. I was in your seat 13 years ago, so who knows, you might have this to look forward to. And then on a more serious note, I talked with the county manager as it relates to our appeal of the FEMA money and the money that's been held back. That's coming up soon, and hopefully it doesn't get pushed again. But, you know, all of us as commissioners have been talking with citizens, and I talked with Chief Infrastructure Officer about this. And we have about 6 different locations in the county, throughout the county, not just in the beach or anywhere, but throughout the county, that we have standing water issues, flood-related issues. And what I would like for us to do is to task staff with determining on if we are successful with this appeal and we're able to release some funds from this lockbox, hopefully all of it. If it was, it'd be a significant amount of money that we can really do something with. And right now, this money is lockboxed to repay FEMA. And so it's not designated to any projects we have inside of our infrastructure surtax. I would like for us to task staff with looking at everything, prioritizing, and then determining on what funds are there. You know, how do we address, how do we look and give us recommendations for how to use this money to be able to address these flood issues that we have throughout the county. I would like them to provide us a prioritization of which ones are the more important areas that from a standpoint of ranking them 1 to 6, this is what needs to be done, and also ranking from a standpoint of what cost is. That it may be, you know, like 1 is going to take all the money and nothing else gets addressed, but we might, you know, 3, 5, and 6 might be able to get completely solved, but at least to put that in front of us for us to be able to understand kind of what location is the worst, but also what would be available, and then based upon that, seeing what funds we have, we kind of know what we can do, but we can look to address that with what I hope is going to be a significant chunk of found money. Because, I mean, we all know that our staff followed the law. They did everything they're supposed to do. They completed the grant applications. FEMA blessed, told us to do this, and then came to us afterwards and said, whoops. So I'm really hoping that we're able to get that back and be able to address that. But I just wanted to make sure I addressed that with y'all from that standpoint. And with that, we are adjourned.